After meeting so many incredible people along the way, they all pushed me to go to grad school. They're like, you need to keep going. And I had agreed at that point. I think by the time that I was a junior in undergrad, I decided I want to become a chemistry professor. That's what I want to do. And so after that, I applied to grad schools at the end of my junior year and beginning of my senior year. And I selected Cornell University for grad school. So that is where, if we were all in person for Expanding Our Horizons conference this year, all of you would be on campus in April, which is a good thing because Ithaca is very cold at this time of year. It's a beautiful place. We have a catchphrase. We like to say Ithaca is gorgeous, and it's spelled Gorges, as in like the plural of the word gorge, as in waterfalls and other things like that. I looked up this statistic, Jenna, because I couldn't quite remember the number of waterfalls. Did you know over 150 waterfalls surround the town of Ithaca within a 10-mile radius? Did you
I
know
had no idea. That's crazy.
150? Isn't that wild? Yeah. So for everyone who is eligible to attend EYH next year, make sure you apply because you can spend a glorious day on this campus and it'll be much better weather too than, I mean, if you like the snow, then you'd love it right now, but it can be a little cold. It can be a little cold this time of year, but it's an incredible campus. It kind of looks like scenes out of Harry Potter, some of the different scenes. It's totally magical. For people who are tuning into the YouTube version, I have a picture of my chemistry lab, in the bottom picture right here. It was a wonderful place to conduct research and to spend my years in grad school. And I'm sure Jenna can agree. It's a little cold, but if that's like the worst thing that we can say about it, I mean, not to say anything bad about it, but honestly, I had such an incredible experience. So when I was at grad school, my focus was chemistry and chemical biology. That was a discipline in which I pursued my PhD. And my focus was biophysical chemistry. So I kind of jumped ship, and that is very common. So you can totally switch around your field of study. So some of my friends were chemistry majors in undergrad, and they went on to become microbiologists in grad school, or biology majors, or physics majors, or computer science majors. You can do so many things. For me, I stuck with chemistry, but I switched my discipline from organic chemistry to something called biophysical chemistry. So it kind of sounds like I'm doing biology and physics and chemistry all in one. And that's literally exactly what it was. It was the best of all worlds. I loved everything about it. Physical chemistry, from the sense that it's kind of like the mathy side of chemistry where I can use a lot of formulas. I loved math, and physical chemistry was my favorite field of study when I was in undergrad. But biophysical chemistry, again, having the human health aspect. So I was actually able to work on antibiotic resistance types of projects, which was really, really exciting. So I'll talk more about that in a second. I, again, had an awesome lab group. I met people across all backgrounds and across all disciplines. It was so incredible to not only work alongside of them, but they also became some of my dearest friends. So it's really, really such an incredible experience to be able to conduct research and to not just have your lab mates as your coworkers, but it can also form some lifelong friendships with them. I also had an awesome principal investigator, PI again. I worked with Professor Peng Chen. He was definitely fundamental in my growth as a scientist during these years. My project was all about trying to understand how superbugs work. So I don't know if you've heard on the media, everybody who's listening right now, about superbugs. So superbugs is a term that's used. It's not actually a bug like an insect. It's actually a term that's used to describe bacteria that are resistant to all sorts of different antibiotics. And this is a huge problem because maybe if any of you have ever had maybe strep throat, let's say, maybe your doctor prescribed you with a common antibiotic like penicillin or amoxicillin are usually two common ones to treat strep throat. So how these medications work is they are antibiotics. The word antibiotic literally means like killing, and biotic is like pertaining to life. And so literally what these antibiotics are doing is they are designed to kill the bacteria that's responsible for causing the infection. But what happens is sometimes these bacteria that's causing, for example, the strep throat there, they will like be aware that there is amoxicillin, this toxin, something that's supposed to kill them, but they're actually able to still survive. And so the infection continues. And so then the doctor will prescribe another medication. And somehow the bacteria have evolved mechanisms to evade that killing from that different antibiotic as well. So it can become a really, really dangerous problem and pose a huge health risk to us as humans that are suffering from these types of bacterial infections if all of the drugs or the medications that we're being prescribed by our physicians are not working to kill the bacteria and therefore allow us to get better. So, one of the things that I focused on in my research was the way that bacteria are able to evolve different strategies to expel or pump out these harmful toxins, such as antibiotics and other harmful substances from the cell, from its inner self. So, I studied how different proteins within bacteria can assemble to form these kind of snowman type of complexes to pump out certain toxins. And so essentially by learning about the mechanisms by which these proteins are able to assemble, that will enable scientists to be able to stop those proteins from assembling. If those proteins can't assemble into the snowman-like complex, then those toxins cannot be exported from the cell. And so what that means is that if the bacteria incorporates these toxins that are designed to kill it, toxin being like any antibiotic that's designed to kill the bacteria, if it cannot get rid of it once it ingests it, if it's not able to pump it back out, it will die. And that is the ultimate goal here. We want to preserve ourselves, right? So any pathogenic bacteria that is the risk of being a superbug is a very big problem and a growing threat. The antibiotic resistance is a really big global health crisis. So that was my work. I also got to collaborate with mechanical engineering students. So not only did I get to do biology and physics and chemistry, but I also got to do mechanical engineering as well. It was a really, really, we did some microfluidics work. So it was, again, super incredible to be able to take my expertise of chemistry and be able to work with scientists across all backgrounds to really expand my skill set and to learn how to think in creative ways again. Again, coming back to this theme of creativity and how we can develop novel solutions to solve common problems, all by working together and combining our expertise. Again, I had amazing lab mates. We had a lot of fun both in and out of the lab. As I said before, some of them became some of my closest friends. So it is a myth that scientists are just at their lab bench all day. We can go outside and have fun. Here's some proof of this in pictures of me being outside with my other lab mates as well. So that is definitely another perk to going to grad school and pursuing a career in the sciences, getting to meet some awesome people and do some cool things. So that's enough about me for my background. So I'll throw it back to Jenna.
Yeah, so you covered a lot in your background, a lot of the questions I was going to ask actually, but you also prompted me with some other questions. So you emphasized, how you had really supportive mentors along your journey and how that was, really instrumental in getting where you are. Do you have any advice on how to establish those mentorship networks that you were able to establish, through undergrad and high school? And maybe if that's not an option for some of our viewers and listeners, what they can do to overcome, maybe not so supportive mentors, or if they don't even have a mentor that's available to them.
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic question. So, one of the biggest kind of revelations that I had, again, hindsight's always 2020, right? So this is literally a revelation that I had just probably a couple of months ago. But you can have multiple different mentors for all different stages of your life and for different aspects of your life as well. So, like for me, I had an education mentor, I had a research mentor, I had some just general like life coach mentors. You can choose different people to help you grow in different aspects of your life. So maybe some of you play sports. Maybe you're more talented of an athlete than I was with T-ball. So maybe your sports coach is going to be great at giving you advice about like keep going. I feel like coaches are so great about giving just fundamental life advice about like you got to keep going, keep your head high, get in the zone, right? A lot of these things that we learn when we're doing sports, or same with music as well. Some of my music teachers would say very similar things to me. Those can be great like general life mentors. I think also having a couple of people who you can confide in to help support you in the field of study that you want to pursue are really important as well. So hopefully for people who are watching this call or this video or tuning into this podcast, however you're joining us today, hopefully you can identify either a science teacher or maybe a friend who's really interested in science who can help you grow as a scientist as well. If not, it's never too late. Jenna and I are right here, right? So we would be glad to serve as your mentors and help, guide you and help you however we best can. You can reach out to us for help, and we are very happy to help guide you again, however we can. Also, family. Don't underestimate the power of family and friends to help guide you in something that they might not be what you might think as experts in. Like neither of my parents are chemists, but I turn to them for advice all the time throughout undergrad. So you can establish even people who you might not think as a mentor can actually be very beneficial to your growth as human being and as a scientist and whatever you decide to pursue throughout your life. So I would just encourage you to don't be shy, ask people to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help either, especially for people who are older than you. That was something that for me as an undergrad, I always felt really shy going to professors to ask for help because I thought, oh, they have enough on their plate. They have enough responsibilities to deal with. Like, I should probably just figure it out on my own, right? That's not the case at all. We've all been through so much to get up into this point that it actually really, at least for me, I am so happy when I'm able to help someone overcome a problem that might have otherwise taken them months or even years to overcome, and just open them up to opportunities that they weren't exposed to, like undergraduate research. So many of my students didn't even know that it existed. So me being able to just tell them like, hey, I did this, like that took me what, 5 seconds to say that, but it already opens up so many possibilities. And we love helping in general, whatever type of mentor, not just a professor or teacher, but anybody who you look up to will be willing to help you. And so don't be afraid to reach out to different people and assemble a team of diverse mentors to help you with different aspects of what you want to do to grow.
So you said something interesting there about how some people might not know about undergraduate research, or maybe even just research opportunities before grad school in general. Do you have any tips for finding those opportunities and then, reaching out to someone who's doing the research of expressing your interest? Because I also was in that similar boat of I didn't know about undergraduate research until I was actually doing a thesis, and I was, oh no, I gotta find a lab to do research in because I'm doing a thesis now. So I can empathize with that very much.
Right. So, I mean, even before undergraduate research, did you know that as like a high schooler, you can do research as well? Like, I had no idea until I got to college. And some of my friends were like, oh, yeah, I already have like 3 years of bench work experience. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You're only 18 years old. They're like, yeah, I did stuff in, high school. I helped out with a lab on the side. And so it is wild how many different opportunities are available. Unfortunately, I agree with you, Jen. I don't think that it's always as well advertised as it can be. So sometimes it is really up to you to seek out those opportunities, which can sound very intimidating. Like, how am I supposed to seek it out on my own if I don't even know what to look for? But now you know from talking with us that these things do exist. And so what I would say is I would encourage you to explore, if you're interested in seeing what research is like, is to reach out to your teachers, see if they can put you in contact with someone at a local community college or a college nearby where you're going to school right now. See if those labs are willing to take some high school students to be able to assist them with research. And then again, when you get to undergrad, I mean, high school, I'd say maybe like, I don't know, 2% of the population. I don't want to give statistics out, but a very small amount of people, I think, start doing research in high school. Most people do start doing some type of research once they get to college. So once you get to college, then you can really start to explore all different types of labs. A lot of my friends who were chemistry majors did research in labs that had nothing to do with chemistry at all. So you can explore all sorts of things. They would do like engineering because they were really passionate about engineering as well, or like biology labs or computer science. So you can explore labs that might not be exactly what you choose to major in as well. So having an open mind there and picking up a diverse skill set is, I think, again, just great advice, and being flexible and willing to adapt to your ever changing environment. Again, really important skills. But yeah, I just say once you get to undergrad, reach out, ask your professors if you're interested in what they do, if there's any openings, or other people who you meet, some upperclassmen at your university, like maybe sophomores or juniors or seniors that you meet when you're a freshman. Ask them, hey, like, what kind of research do you do? Like, do you enjoy it? And you never know the power of where one conversation can take you. So don't be afraid to reach out. Again, who knows? Maybe those people can serve as your mentor for orienting you to research.
Yeah, I know I just sent out a bunch of emails in undergrad and then had some face-to-face time and made a decision. And I still talk to my old PI from undergrad. So I feel like I made the right decision there.
Such a great idea too. Yeah, definitely don't settle for like just, the first person who says yes or to you doing research. Definitely take some time to make an informed decision. So I think Jenna's approach of emailing multiple people but then meeting with them as well, so crucial. You will get a vibe, just like if you visit multiple schools before committing to which school you want to attend for college, you will get a vibe from every different PI, principal investigator, and their overall lab group. Is the lab happy? Are the lab members happy and friendly, or do they seem stressed? There are definitely different lab cultures. So being attuned to that and seeing where you fit in will really help you make an informed decision if you can see that before you commit to joining that particular lab. Happiness is essential for grad school. So you want to make sure you choose a lab that you will feel like you can thrive and be happy and comfortable in.
Exactly. Also, so when we were talking about the stereotype of a scientist, how have you sort of dismantled that stereotype when you've talked about being a scientist? I mean, you don't come off as the Sheldon Cooper. So,
Thank you.
like, right there, you've dismantled it. But informing others that, like, hey, I have a PhD in chemistry. Has that ever, people been like shocked? And how do you deal with that?
That's a great question. So it's very interesting. So now that I do have a PhD in chemistry and I am a professor, what I do on the first day of my class is I actually ask my students. So I teach freshman college students. A lot of them are science majors, not all of them. I'd say maybe about 2/3 of them are majoring in some type of science, but no one is majoring in chemistry who takes my course. And so I ask them on the first day of class, what is the first word that comes to mind when they think of a scientist? And I put a word cloud on the screen where everyone can submit their answer by like texting or like typing on the computer and submit their answer. And then we can see in real time how this word cloud takes shape. It's very dynamic. So if more people say the same word, the word appears bigger on their screen.
Mhm.
And nerd by far is the biggest word on every slide. Also, brilliant or genius. And I think all of those words, while it is true that, you need to be intelligent to be a scientist, you need to be intelligent for anything. All of you on this call or watching right now or listening right now are intelligent, and you definitely have what it takes to become a scientist. So I think it can be dangerous when people say like, oh, like super crazy smart. I think as long as you are dedicated and apply yourself and are determined and willing to learn, that is more than what it takes to succeed in this field, and being passionate about your science as well. Also, yeah, the nerd stereotype, not a big fan. Big glasses, that was a word that appeared. I don't even know how that
Big
word got there.
glasses.
Yeah, it's two words. I was supposed to set the word cloud to only be one word, but I don't know. I guess they
They
seem to.
hyphenated it and it came up fine.
Yeah, they can use like the underscore to make it like, two words into one magically. Anyway, not every scientist has big glasses or is a nerd. Honestly, look at this picture right now. There's so many different types of people on this slide. They're all scientists and they're all so unique and different. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to know that anybody that you would see on the street could be a scientist. There's no limitation as to what a scientist looks like or acts like, as much as sometimes these stereotypical things that we see on the media are trying to portray. And it is kind of disappointing that the media still, I believe, portrays what a scientist looks like. So something that I do in my classes personally is I've been doing this scientist spotlight series where I literally, what we're doing right now, Jenna, I interview my friends who do cool science, and they are normal human beings. I mean, okay, what defines normal, right? We're all we're all unique in our own way. But as I've shown these videos every week throughout my course, by the end of the semester, when I ask my students what defines a scientist again, a word that appears on the screen that makes me so happy to see is the word me or myself. Not as in like me, like Dr.
Hmm.
Genova, but as in like they themselves, they can actually see themselves as scientists. And that is just so cool to see. I always ask everyone who I interview as well, like, what are your hobbies? What are your passions outside of the lab? And it's amazing. People have so many diverse hobbies, just as all of you do right now. You don't have to put away your hobbies. And just because you like to draw doesn't mean that you can't be a scientist, or just because you like to play a sport doesn't mean that you can't become a scientist. People still do all the things that you all love to do right now in their spare time when they're just not in the lab. And so that was a really, really great way to help my students learn that a scientist is not limited to this Sheldon Cooper type or Albert Einstein type of person that you normally might think of as the first word that would come to your mind when you're thinking of a scientist.
I love that. And like at the end, they're like, I am a scientist. I love that idea.
Yeah, it is so true. Everyone watching right now or listening right now, you are a scientist. You have what it takes. So don't let anybody ever try to convince you otherwise, because they are wrong. That is what I will say.
And I also